Ruth, Martina, was not happy. She only heard about Joshua and Elijah's night at the park after 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks she could feel that something was off. You see, lies have been around for thousands of years. Actually, they haven't been around in the existential sense. Just as darkness is the absence of light, so lies are the absence of truth. And how great is that darkness when the narrative you present to those closest to you is not the truth. Lies had promised Elijah that he would be able to save Martina the pain of her disappointment in him. They never told him that he would be eroding on the inside. He couldn't keep eye contact with her for more than a few seconds. The issue, Josh, is that I don't want to stop. She would kill me if she found out. And to be honest, I just love it. What she doesn't know won't hurt her. Besides, it's not like you are doing cocaine or anything crazy like that. Yeah, but I haven't hidden anything from her since grade 7. It's grade 13. She knows me as well as I know myself. This was the conversation that kept Elijah from telling Martina. Elijah discovered that smoking up meant that he was lying to so many more people than just Martina. He was lying to his parents. He was lying to his teachers. He was lying to his friends. He was lying to everyone. Although he didn't know what to do with God at this point in his life, he somehow intuitively knew that there was no lying to God, but he definitely could lie to himself. And so he did. This seems to be a really strong pattern observable in many humans. No, most humans. Martina, it was only once. I really wanted to try it out. He in fact had been smoking up every day. Please, your silence is killing me. Say something. It's not just that you did something that you knew would upset me. It's that you never told me. I had to find out from Josh. Had he not slipped up, how long were you planning on going without telling me? I just don't know right now. I just don't know. Martina's heart was in so much pain. She wanted to yell, Elijah, don't you get it? I fell in love with you because you were different. You weren't like the other boys. Now, you are no different. That night Martina wept. The thing that she didn't realize is that tears turn to ice in the winter. She thought to herself, 2 weeks ago I was completely in love with Elijah. 6 years of spring, and now into short weeks, summer, fall, and winter. Martina cried, and when she could cry no more, she cried again. Then she really was done crying. No more tears flowed. However, the heart can continue crying for what feels like forever. The tears of the heart are a lot more rational than the weak analytical logic of the brain. Though Martina had never believed in God or spoken to him before, her heart knew better. And this suprarational tear came out of her heart. Oh God, please take care of Elijah. Martina fell asleep. She slept well. She dreamt of a man who had the face of a young child. In her dream, she felt like that must have been what Elijah looked like when he was a small boy. Yet his hair was white, his eyes a mixture of complete innocence and deep knowing. His face shone brighter than the sun. She felt warm. Pot was beginning to take up more and more real estate in Elijah's mind. His life narrative began to change. Lying to himself was proving to be far more destructive to his soul than he could have ever imagined. He began to push more and more people out as his addiction to fun began to settle into his heart, like a friend who was coming to spend the weekend at your place, but then ends up staying for 6 months. Actually, this friend's main function was to help Elijah forget the pain he was feeling in his heart. How could you lie to me, Elijah? Martina's voice echoed in his mind. You are one of us? Heaven is waiting. This time it was Uncle Ansi's voice. Habibi, there is something wrong with you these days. I am worried about you. This time it was his mother's voice. And so, he would run to his friend and disappear. At least for a time. Martina hated who he was becoming, but she couldn't bring herself to leave him. Yet, they spent more and more time bickering and fighting over things. It was evident to both of them that they were drifting apart, but they also didn't know how to be without each other, and so they just kept hurting each other. Do you really have to be listening to your music all the time? It's changing you." Elijah turned off his yellow Walkman and looked at her, not believing what he had just heard come out of her mouth. "Can you stop acting like my mom, honestly? Maybe I am listening to my music all the time for a reason. Maybe you should take the hint." He instantly regretted saying that. It was too late. He had said it. Martina tried not to show that she was hurt. Her go-to cover-up emotion is anger. So she glared at him and stomped away. Her heart was broken. This continued for several months. They would take breaks from each other and then come back together. The truth is that Elijah was torn. He loved her so deeply. She represented something that was pure and holy in his mind, sacred. But he had exiled himself from that world. Even though Martina was not a believer, she somehow lived like she was. She was still innocent. This broke his heart. I am the problem. His heart broke further as he realized that he didn't deserve her. Guilt and shame have a way of always isolating a person. Every time he would come back to her, he would promise her that he would do everything he could to stop smoking up. The reality was that he had been able to reduce it to once or twice a week. One time, he was even able to stop for a month. But there was a much deeper issue inside him. His heart had become cold. He had lost his innocence. He was no longer the Elijah that she knew. And that tormented him. But he could do nothing about it. Elijah asked Martina to go to prom. She said yes. Elijah got drunk at his after-grad party. It was a bush party. The police came and ended the fun early. Martina hated every second of it. Elijah knew that it was over. The next day, on a long walk, they remembered every moment from that first grade 7 class. The swing, the lunchtime walks, their secret meetings at the park. They both laughed. They both cried. They hugged. He kissed her on her forehead. "Bye," he whispered, pushing through his tears. "I love you." "Bye," she mouthed. She turned away. Inside he knew. Inside she knew. They would never see each other again. On earth,